There are times in our life where things happen to us that test, the strength and the stamina of our soul. And I'm sitting here today with a friend of mine, member of Suncoast, Mr. Eric Merda, who went through a pretty challenging time recently. But yet, as traumatic as this story that you're about to tell us is, there is this huge sort of like glimmer of hope and life that comes out at the end of it. And, this season's all about giving thanks, man, being thankful for the things we have, even being thankful for the things that we've gone through that may have been some things that we may not have wanted to have happen to us. And so what I want you to do, Eric, is just tell our community in a brief story, like what happened to you when you had that encounter in Mayaka.
I was out there actually on work. I owned my own business at the time. I had spent the night out on Siesta Key. And I actually was picking up trash on Siesta Key. It just kind of became a thing for me to pick up garbage. I don't know. It was literally something God wanted me to do. I mean, it was like almost obsessive. I got a call to go out to Parish, and I said, well, heck, might as well go make a few extra bucks. So I went out there. It was a quick job. Started racing my truck down the road, having a little bit of fun because I'm out in the country. I just stumbled upon this little dirt road, never been there before, cleaned my truck out there. They had a dumpster, and I noticed there was trash everywhere. So I started picking up all of the trash around the dumpster. I figured I'd use their dumpster, and I was just in this obsessive thing with picking up garbage. I had jumped this fence 2 or 3 times. I knew I was eventually going to end up in those woods. I just knew it because I just kept looking at them. So the last time I ended up jumping it, I just said the heck with it and took off running. Found the thickest brush you could possibly think of. And I was going through a lot in my life, been battling with myself, battling with God, my family, everything. So I went straight through the thickest brush you could find. Some of it looked like you could climb it, and some of it I did climb. Other, I would climb and then fall through it. So when I come out the other side a couple hours later, I'm scratched from head to toe. I mean, just completely tore up. Now I'm in an orange field. I found some beehives. I thought about trying to get some honey out of it. I decided that was kind of dangerous. Tried to eat a couple of green oranges. I mean, I'm dying of thirst. I'm hungry, and I'm lost and cut from head to toe. I started cutting through some grasses that were taller than I was, and I found the lake. I could see the boat ramp where my truck was. So with me being thirsty and cut from head to toe, not wanting to go back through all of the thorns, I decided I'd swim across the lake. I got stuck in the middle of the lake, and it became dark, and I looked over, and there was an alligator. I tried to swim off. It attacks as fast as a snake does. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was unbelievable how it attacked. It grabbed my right arm, right on the forearm. I rolled over and grabbed it to try to stop the alligator from rolling. Mm-hmm. It snapped my arm backwards and then drug me under 3 times as I continued to push it up. I guess it figured out that it wasn't going to be able to drown me. It rolled off and took my arm with it. I swam back to the same shore I came from, and then I struggled throughout. For 3 days, I struggled through the swamps. The first day until, if I had to guess, judging by the sun, till about 11 o'clock in the morning, I was climbing up and down a tree, waving at helicopters and airplanes, hoping they come get me. One arm standing there praying to God I don't fall off because I couldn't hold myself up. Finally, I gave up on that. And I asked myself, why do I want to live? What do you have to live for? My kids are in foster care. Wife, 15 years, she's gone. Business is going downhill. And I didn't have anything I felt like I live for. I mean, the kids are doing fine. I mean, I want them to come home, but they'll be all right without me. Everybody will be all right without me. There'd be some grief, but life goes on. And then God asked me, he said, well, if you can't find a reason to live, then just give up. Now I can't find a reason to give up, which is what kept me surviving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, God kind of flipped the script on me.
Yeah.
which was cool of him. So now I had to fight for my life because I didn't know why to give up. You know, I ended up fighting through a bunch of thick brush and things like that with one arm. Even with my nub, like pushing stuff aside. I had sticks go directly into the flesh. You know, after a while, real quick you learn to be careful.
Right.
A stick into your raw flesh is painful. I ended up getting back into the water and trying to walk as close to the shoreline as possible. But it's swamp. Everything's well overgrown, probably at least 10 feet over into the water, if not more. Plus, you've got the grasses growing out of the water, and I was not cutting through the middle of grasses. So that most times I was well above waist deep water. There were times I was over chest deep. A couple times I thought I was going to have to swim again. Meanwhile, the alligator, or a alligator, was popping up and disappearing, popping up and disappearing. Something told me, well, we know what told me. God told me if I stay close to the shore, I'll be all right. So that's what I did. I found a concrete structure and fell asleep on that night. Realized my one good arm was dangling in the water, so this might not be the safest place for me to sleep. Kept pushing my way through the brush. It became light out. At this point, I'm taking whatever naps I can. I was actually sleeping on the grasses. I would pull the grasses down, still waist deep in water, and sleep on the grasses as beds, you know, for an hour here, 2 hours there. I mean, it's hard to tell the times. But, you know, I was getting weak.
Yeah.
We're moving towards day 3 with no arm at this point. Finally stumbled across dry land and woods. But now it's nothing but thorns. I mean, solid thorns. There's no way over them. There's no way under them. I can't get around them. And I'm trying to do a straight line, so, you know, straight line's going to land me somewhere.
Right.
At this point, I feel like I've walked in a lot of circles. I don't know if I did or not, but I feel like I walked in a lot of circles trying to get around obstacles, landing back in the same place. So now I've got to go through these thorns anyway. I actually laid on my back and was pulling myself through the dirt on my back trying to get underneath these thorns with my left arm, which was not my strong arm at the time. You know, there was a lot of challenges out there. So the garbage led me in there, and I got close to where I was trying to get, and I knew I had to be because I was out of the water. I found a beer bottle, and I said, man, somebody threw that there. That nobody, like, climbed over the fence and left it there. Somebody threw it. Mm-hmm. So I am really close now. It still took me like another hour after that to even get out. But the trash that led me in there also helped me get out.
Yeah.
Which was, you know, full circle. It's amazing the way it works. I came up to the fence, and there was a guy on the other side of the fence, and he asked me what I was doing back there. He didn't even notice the arm. And I was like, dude, I lost my arm to an alligator. He's like, holy smokes. I said, can I get some water, please? He's like, man, I will get you some water. It's the only thing I wanted was clean water. So I'd been drinking water out of my hand and basically eating mud for 3 days, you know, like a wild boar. Waited, the helicopter came, they cut the fence open, and I got up and walked out. Everybody was absolutely amazed. one part that I left out of the story is I did this whole thing completely naked. I was naked because I was in the middle of the water, like I said, for a long time.
Yeah.
So I had to shed my clothes and my boots because I was in pants and boots and like work clothes for irrigation. Everything was heavy and wet. So I got up and walked out of this fence naked and laid down on their stretcher. They did wrap a blanket and stuff around me.
Right.
But that fence opening up was like a rebirth for me. You know, instead of dying in that swamp, I started a whole new life. Once I laid down on that stretcher, that they put me in the helicopter, I knew I was safe. So now the adrenaline went away.
Yeah.
Extreme pain, screaming in this small helicopter with like 3 paramedics. And like one of the paramedics could not handle it.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. I don't blame him, like to the point where he got so frustrated he yelled at me. Said, if you be quiet, I'll tell them to give you the really good stuff when you get there. And it's like, bro, I'm missing an arm. Adrenaline's running out. More or less been awake for 3 days.
Right.
You know, I mean, I took naps where I could, but yeah, it was very traumatic. I think it was more traumatic for them than it was me. And they asked me where I wanted to go, and I told them Sarasota Memorial. They got the best food, so anybody can finish cutting my arm off.
That's right.
No, they were great at the hospital. They really were.
Yeah,
Great surgeon. Yeah, you know, Sarasota Memorial has some of the best care in the nation.
Yeah, man.
You know, we had people coming from Europe to go there.
That's right.
So,
but back to when you entered into the swamp, you had said something one time. You said, essentially in your mind, like you went in there to die. Like you went in there, if I can use the metaphor, you went in there with 2 good arms to die. Like you had all this stuff going on in your life, and yet you come out with 1 arm, and now you have this new resolve, this new impassioned sense that you want to live, that you couldn't find anything to stop you from living. There was nothing that was worth dying for, but everything worth living for, even though an alligator had taken your arm in that very traumatic event. Like, talk about that, man. Like, what was it where you said, forget this. I'm not dying here. I'm not quitting. I can't quit. I have to keep going. I know I've made mistakes in my life. I know I'm in this crazy position right now where I've just lost my arm to this alligator in this swamp. I'm lost. I'm hurting. I'm bleeding. Like, what rose up in you, man, that gave you the strength? Because it can't just be adrenaline, right? What was it that rose up inside of you that said, I'm going to make it out of here? Because most people would not have made it out. We would have been finding people in that swamp. But something inside of you, man, gave you the strength, gave you the power, gave you the wherewithal to just keep pushing.
I'm not a quitter. I couldn't quit. I wanted to. I wanted to quit. Legitimately, at the end of the day, God gives me a strength to not quit. I mean, I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to lay there and die. You know how easy that would have been? Mm-hmm. I mean, legitimately, it would have been so easy. I was half dead anyway.
Yeah.
And I could have laid there. I laid there and I moved through the swamp in pain for 3 days with a nub. Had I just laid there and died, it would have probably taken a day.
Yeah.
You know? And I could have just laid there. I can't give up. It's just not in me.
Yeah.
I was pretty mad at myself for that for a while.
Yeah.
But even with the hardships I'm going through now, I have real rough days sometimes.
Yeah.
But I still have to fight through them, and then the next days are like great, you know.
Yeah.
It's just very up and down. At the end of the day, I just don't have it in me to give up.
Yeah.
I just don't.
So what are some of the things now, Eric, that you've been through this, man? You know, we all make mistakes in our life, right? We all make decisions that harm us, that harm others. And you talked about your kids being in foster care. You talked about you being homeless right now. You talked about your up and down days that you have with addiction. But yet here you are, bro. Like, here you are right now in this place telling a story, inspiring people who may be going through difficult times in their life. What did you see in your mind that said, yeah, I know I'm not a quitter, but here's the reasons. Here's the reasons why I'm not going to quit. Like, what did you tell yourself? This is the reason to keep going. This is the reason. Because I look at someone like myself or people around me, we all dig deep into ourselves and we find the reasons why. Because one of my favorite philosophers, Nietzsche, said this. He goes, if you find the reason for why to live, the how becomes easier, if that makes sense. If I find a reason why I need to live, need to press on, never quit, then how I don't quit, how I continue becomes easier. What was it for you, man? What did you see in your mind as you looked at this desperate situation where you were about to die? Like you said, you were half dead. What did you see in your mind where you were like, these are my reasons? Like, what were some of those reasons?
It comes down to the kids. I know it does deep in my heart, even though I say they would have been fine, and they would have been. But there's a certain something that they'd be missing with me being gone. And I just, as we talk about it, their faces are flashing through my head right now. It's the same reason I'm pushing forward now. But with me getting out of a situation like that, like you said, most people would think it's impossible. And I'm not going to say it was easy. I still have a lot of challenges ahead of me every single day. Mm-hmm. The reason I get through life is because my kids. And I get to go around, and even though I do live homeless, I go into a lot of gas stations. I make a lot of jokes. I tell my story everywhere. I mean, people are always asking. And like you said, my job now is to inspire people to keep pushing forward. With that being said, I have to go through this homelessness so that I have this experience, so that anybody who's down in the dumps, in the dirt, I can help lift up.
Yeah.
I have the experience. I don't just know about it. I didn't read about it in a book. I'm living it with one arm, can't get a job. I don't have a license. You know, I'm waiting on disability. I have to fly a sign and beg for money. I never thought I'd be in this position.
Yeah.
And some of the things I've said in the past, now I'm doing them. Mm-hmm. And now I understand why people do what they do. Being homeless is a full-time job. It's like, it takes forever just to get your phone charged. And then, you know, people say, go get a job. Well, like, I can't even count money. And even if I do go get a job, I'm waiting 2 or 3 weeks for my paycheck. So now what do I do for those 2 or 3 weeks while I'm at work and I get back to wherever I'm camping or whatever, and I'm tired, and now I've got to go fly a sign or beg for money and maybe get something to eat? You know, it's a full-time job being homeless.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks lazy bum. Not if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Not if you're doing it right. It's a job.
Yeah.
It's not the best of jobs. Yeah. I'm trying to find a new gig. But I do. I need this experience so that I can continue to help uplift other people.
Yeah, man.
But like you said, with me battling with addiction on and off, and battling for the kids in foster care, battling with right arm, everything, I know I'm going to overcome this.
Yeah.
I'm stuck in a concrete jungle instead of a swamp, which really feels harder. Yeah. Because the swamp was only 3 days. I've been stuck in this concrete jungle for 3 months.
Yeah, man.
You know, but I meet very interesting people, and I get a lot of smiles out there.
Yeah. And
when I'm down, they seem to come by and give me smiles also.
Yeah, man.
So it's a big trade-off in the world, and that's what I want to do, is uplift people.
Yeah, man. It's like our greatest opportunities often come up as opposition, you know. Like we have to find, will we conquer life, or will we let the chaos of life conquer us? And you're a walking testimony, man, of someone who's fighting through a lot of adversity right now, man. But yet I look at you, dude, and you have this spirit of like thankfulness, that gratefulness, that a lot of people who have a job, who have both arms, who are with their kids, and they take all that for granted. But yet I look at you, man, and you inspire me, man. I look up to you because you are living proof that we can go through the roughest of times, and it can only do so much to us. And when you realize life can only do so much to you, people can only do so much to you, and that there's nothing stronger, there's nothing as powerful as a changed mind. Like you changed your mind about your life, man. And yet now you can look at life and go, hey, I've been through that. I've been through that. There's nothing you can do to me that can't hurt me more than I've already been. So I want to ask you, man, like, as we enter the season of the holidays, being, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas, man, what are you thankful for right now in your life?
Right now, I'm thankful I made it out of there. I'm thankful for the experience of being homeless, believe it or not. It's really rough, but again, I need this experience so I can help other people in the future. I get to see the kids once a week for an hour. It was in a building. Now I get to see them at a park. I'm thankful for that little kind of stuff, just the smallest things. I'm thankful for being free of any kind of fear. I'm thankful of knowing how to responsibly handle that kind of freedom, because you are absolutely right. Like, there's nothing anybody can do to me.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of anything. That type of thought pattern and that type of full honesty, freedom, comes with a huge responsibility to act right,
Yeah.
you know, and make the proper decisions. I had all the financial freedom in the world last year at this time. I wasn't ready for the responsibility of it. And that's why it's been taken away from me, to teach me this responsibility. I'm thankful for this whole experience.
Yeah.
I'm thankful my arm got taken, believe it or not. Because, again, this is my life. And now I get to see it from a whole new perspective. And this is the second half of my life. I get to do something different. I was getting bored of irrigation. Yeah, I was making a ton of money, and I still have a good time out in the field. But I've done it for 25 years. I was getting bored of it. I said it a million times. Well, that's been taken from me now. So now I have to reinvent my entire self, my whole identity, including my work, and figure something else out.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I'm
Yeah.
no longer bored. I can promise you that. So I don't know what the future holds. What I'm hoping it holds is being able to talk to millions of people like I am with you.
Yeah.
Not just only sharing my story, but let's talk about the hard times and the addiction and the good times as well.
Yeah.
And then throw some jokes in there. I mean, I really want to reach out to people through comedy and through motivational speaking.
Yeah.
The more I study this stuff, the more comedians I watch. It goes hand in hand with the motivational speaking. They're comedians because they're in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
You know, I guess that's why I've always joked around, probably too much.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know, but I always say everyone wants to be a rock star when they grow up. So hopefully all of that happens. In the meantime, I'm trying to get little side jobs, you know, cash money jobs, stuff that I can do a day here, a day there, because full-time jobs just really not going to work out right now.
Right.
Yeah, you know, but I can work some.
Yeah.
You know, I do get tired a lot quicker. Maybe I'm just out of shape from working since it's been a little while. You know, things are twice as difficult. So
Yeah, man.
maybe that's why I get worn out. Trying to work with one hand instead of two hands.
That's right.
And keep up with the guys is pretty tough.
Well, man, your story, again, some people may have already heard about it. This is the first I had heard about it when I met you a couple of weeks ago. But I just want to reiterate, man, like, I'm thankful for your life. I'm thankful you're alive. I'm thankful you have a voice to share, and I'm thankful for a place called Suncoast where you get to tell your story. And this is going to be blasted out not only to our community, but it's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be everywhere, man. And
Wow.
and my hope and my prayer is that this story helps lift other people who don't have a why at this moment to live, but that they search deep in themselves and they find out what they're thankful for, like you did. You saw your kids, and you have something very few people have, man, and that's not just sight. Sight is for the present. Vision is for the future. And every time I hear you talk, man, it's never about the complications of you with one arm now, about the hardship of being homeless right now. Every time I hear you talk, man, it's always about a vision for the future, what you see yourself doing when you get things in order. And dude, that's inspiring. And I think that's going to be inspiring for our community when they hear this. So I just want to thank you, man, for being here. And I look forward to seeing more of you and keeping up with your story and to see where God takes you, man. I appreciate the time.
Well, I appreciate you having me, and of course, anytime, anytime. You know, I love Suncoast too. I've been to many churches. This church I've been coming to for about 12 years when I'm in the area.
Yeah.
Maybe a little longer than that. You know, 2 of my kids went to school here.
Yeah.
My wife's family went to Suncoast back when they were at McIntosh Middle.
No way.
So, you know, we have really deep roots here. Suncoast definitely holds a special place in my heart. Definitely.
Awesome, man.
You know, Suncoast made me enjoy church. You know, I went to other churches. There's some really good churches out there.
Oh, yeah.
Suncoast was the first one where I started enjoying it. Before I was going because I felt like I had to. You know, I'm going to burn if I don't go to church. I never actually felt that strongly about it, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
But Suncoast, I wake up and say, man, I didn't make it to church today. Like, I love coming here.
Awesome,
So
man.
it's everyone's always been very, very cool here, you know. And like I said, real deep roots.
Yeah,
with
man.
with the kids coming to school here and everything, you know. So,
Well, dude,
this is my church for life.
Yeah, man. You're a valuable member of this community, man. And not just because you have an amazing testimony, but because your life matters, man. Your story matters. And I want to reiterate that, dude. But thanks for being here. Appreciate you, Eric, man. Love you, dude.
I love you too, man. Thank you.
You got it.